A win for the Delhi Capitals and how? Salil, Shreyas Iyer coming to the party. We were talking about him coming, and you already mentioned that it would not be difficult for him at all. And not even for a minute he looked unsettled on that crease. What do you have to say about this brilliant display of batting by the batting side?
Uh, I think that early wicket of Prithvi Shaw didn't really make a difference. Shikhar
Absolutely
Dhawan
not.
clearly, I mean, for just one day was dislodged of his orange cap purely because of the number of sixes, but he got into the groove. They played as per the score. They could have gone berserk. They could have played more aggressively, but it wasn't required. That showed how you need to chase an innings, how you need to pace it in different situations. Had the score been 175, 180, you would have seen a totally different Shikhar Dhawan,
Different.
a totally different Shreyas Iyer as well. So I think good job done by Shreyas Iyer to ensure that not much pressure goes to the middle order and the lower middle order. And he kind of initially sheet anchored the innings, and then when Pant came in, he became a little aggressive. Then he took a backseat when Pant became aggressive. I think they were brilliantly complementing each other. I think the Delhi batsmen, and quite nice to see these youth buzzing with confidence and the form that they're in. It's looking very good for Delhi. Something that they carry from last year.
Absolutely, Salil. And a lot of problems for the Indian selectors as well, because Shikhar Dhawan has is come in brilliant form. The way he's batting throughout the IPL, he's held the orange cap, and I think I read a stat which said this is the sixth consecutive IPL where Shikhar Dhawan has scored 400 plus runs. So
Yes.
that is a very big stat to have on your back. So Shikhar Dhawan is really one of the top contenders to have played the World Cup, but unfortunately not being a part of it. So do these things play a lot of negative impact on yourself as a player when you're not selected for such a big tournament, being so consistent throughout the years? Do you think Shikhar Dhawan must be feeling the heat and must be a bit disappointed with the selection?
Everybody feels bad after not being selected, but I think with the faith in the system and the teams and the coaches and the selectors, I think you might want. It's a very difficult thing to pick, and I think probably Rahul's been picked ahead of Shikhar Dhawan. Clearly you see both of them gunning for the orange cap.
Right.
I think the Indian selectors really have a problem of plenty when it comes to playing up top, because even Virat Kohli can open the innings. We've seen that he's done that for RCB in the past, and quite honestly, I think they would have taken the option of KL Rahul purely because he keeps. So in case
Right.
anything happens to Rishabh Pant, there is a better option there. I don't think there was enough space for Sanju Samson to make the side, but KL Rahul can double up, something like what Rahul Dravid has done for us in the past. When required, played the role of a wicket keeper.
Wicket keeper.
In the white ball format. So I think yes, it would have obviously disappointed Gabbar. I think he's a great talent, especially on subcontinent pitches. I would always select him in my team, and also being a left-hander, so being quite flamboyant, plays hits around the ball, can sweep, plays 360 degrees of the wicket. So all in all, India's loss can actually be Delhi's gain. And this time around, I think there will definitely be this thought in mind where he'll say that, you know what, whoever you take, I think I'm going to score more runs. I'm going to take my team home, and I really want to win the IPL this time, because that's
Absolutely.
the only way you answer your non-selection. There's no other way you
Right.
can do that otherwise. Yeah.
Definitely. And you didn't mention the point, but Shikhar Dhawan is actually Mr. ICC. When it comes to ICC tournament, Shikhar Dhawan is the man to go. He's been fantastic for India in white ball cricket in all formats. So good luck to him. But speaking of Hyderabad and the bowling department of Hyderabad, other than Rashid Khan, who do you think is the one who will come with time? Who will be the person to win them the games? Because you cannot be solely dependent on just one bowler to win you matches, because teams like Delhi will play smart, like you just said, that Delhi just needs to play the 4 overs of Rashid Khan, and that's what they did. Scored 6 runs an over. But who do you think is the other bowler other than Rashid? Bhuvaneshwar looked a bit scrappy. So did Khalil Ahmed. So who's the one you think that will raise the hand and be like, I'll be the one to win you matches as a bowling department?
Well, to be honest, I really think that Khalil Ahmed should be taking that mantle. I think they really would have missed Natarajan today. But
Correct.
Khalil Ahmed clearly possesses the pace and the talent. He's also a left-handed bowler, so that gives him that slight advantage against the right-handed batsman, and it's mostly a right-handed dominated sport. So, I mean, but looking at the Hyderabad bowling lineup today, they look like, I mean, Jason Holder was is almost like a part timer. I mean, I won't call him a full fledged bowler who will bowl all
Oh,
his 4 overs unless there's much, especially on these grounds, right? It's really easy to pick him. He doesn't bowl with a lot of pace, will not get so much bounce, so it's easy to play off that. You also had Sandeep Sharma, who was slightly off pace today. He was also a little mediocre. So the sting in the attack was only looking when Rashid Khan was bowling. And I think the only wicket of Shikhar Dhawan that he actually got was purely because Shikhar went out to hit him for a six, and I think he could have clearly avoided that and gone on to see his team through. But apart from that, I don't think Hyderabad made many chances for themselves from their bowling per se on a clearly a very easy pitch to bat on, but. I think they have some problems. They need to think about a few things. Maybe try some other combinations.
right. And now from here on, Hyderabad are, I think they're 99% out of the tournament. Like we spoke about this before the game, that if they lose this game, they're mostly out of it. And I think they are. Looking at the points table, they're completely down and out. But these teams, the teams that are in the bottom, the Punjab Kings and the Hyderabad, they can really, crash a party for all these teams who are on top, like Mumbai Indians and the KKR. Do you think that these teams will be looking, that as an agenda, that we have to, perform really well and make sure that they don't come, or maybe just play some great cricket and not have these things in mind?
Well, obviously they shouldn't have these things in mind, but at the same time, teams like Punjab and Hyderabad will clearly not be sitting out there and just playing it out and losing games in a one-sided way. They would really want to stamp their authority, or show that they do possess the class. And then, these initial 8 games have been a one-off where they've, possibly won just 1 or 2 games and
One.
lost most of them, some in a really bad manner, like today. I mean, today was totally one sided, and something which will really break your hearts, like what happened yesterday. So quite honestly, I do think that they will definitely upset a couple of the top four in the coming couple of weeks. But again, it might not dent the opposition so much, unless they are on number 5 and number 6, and really, and then want to qualify, and one of these bottom teams just spoil your chances there. So that permutation combination, as we are all aware, happens towards the end, when all the teams finish their 10 or 11 matches and they've got their last 3 matches. That's where I think these matches that the bottom of the table teams perform and win actually makes an impact on the top of the table to decide who plays
Very
the
well said.
eliminator and who plays the qualifier. So I think teams would know that, and teams who are on top, like a Mumbai or KKR, in the top four, they would really want to see which team do they want to play in the first couple of matches, and which team do they want to just keep to play in the final, because some of the teams which might not be able to handle pressure, or might not be able to handle a lot of different changes done, might be very difficult to play a side like Chennai, whereas whereas teams like KKR, they'd really be raring to go and try and play a side like Delhi, because they are quite similar in their stature. They know that talent will fight talent, and maybe
Right.
the pressure scenes might just get to the younger players, and Delhi have a string of young players, although very energetic and always, I mean, currently in great form. But yeah, these are a lot of scenarios that can really get built, and and it's only good for all of us to watch some fantastic cricket.
Definitely, Salil. And just one short question. It's a very optimistic one. Do you think, I've got a lot of messages on my social media, that Delhi is the team that could really win the IPL? Do you think that it's justified to say, and it's too early to say, in your opinion, or you really back this, that Delhi have what it takes to win the IPL this time around?
I think out of all the teams, if you have to really pick one, for everything, for talent, for balance, for players in form, for no injuries, and for youth and that firepower and the flair. I think Delhi really packs that punch and looks like Delhi would win it. They have a similar team as compared to what they had last year, and I think they've gelled very well as a unit. I think their coaching staff, headed by Ricky Ponting and Mohammad Kaif and Praveen Ambre, I think they've done a fantastic job. Quite, I mean, they really look like they're there. I think the only thing that takes these big teams and these, all the people in form is strategy. And that's
Right.
where teams like Mumbai and Chennai, who have been extremely analytical and extremely sharp with the kind of changes that they make, the small changes. The first three balls are bowled differently, then the field changes entirely. The batsman slightly confused what's happening, and there goes a wicket. And that really turns. Because if some team has been playing with on a score of 130 for two, suddenly they are at 68 for two, and suddenly maybe you're chasing 170, 180 odd. Maybe those lower order batsmen like, for example, a Hetmeyer might have not been in this situation in this IPL. Suddenly
Yeah.
they find themselves on absolutely new ground, and that's where pressure kicks in. So it's a mix of both talent and strategy, and at the end of it, I think a mix of both really would win it.
Brilliant. Delhi, one of the favorites, hot favorites to win the IPL 2021. Thank you so much, Salil. Another great prediction. You're just ticking off your bucket list of getting every match right. So fantastic. A lot to look forward to. Tomorrow we have a big game on our hands. KKR taking on the Mumbai Indians. So, all in all, it's going to be a cracker of a game. Thank you so much for joining with me today. We had a great chat, some great predictions, some great analysis about the game. So I'll see you tomorrow in the pre-match show. We'll talk more about the games happening forward. Thank you so much. This was Sports Adda Live.